Hello and welcome to the Foundation of Light Legends Talking with a Difference. The difference being that we are all actually in our own homes for this, the wonders of modern technology. Before we introduce two very, very special guests, not that they need any introduction given what they achieved at the Stadium of Light, and one of them at Roker Park as well. But let me tell you a little bit more about the Foundation of Light, because you'll all have heard of it, but maybe you don't understand just what great work it does. You know, it's the official charity of Sunderland Association Football Club. It's one of the first and most successful football community schemes, which was started in 2001. And in the North East, it helps over 20,000 people engage in their programmes, and it's responsible for raising £4 million each year, which is quite incredible. Right, and speaking of incredible, these two were for Sunderland and still are in all of our eyes. It's a welcome along and hello to Peter Reid and Kevin Phillips. How are you both?
Yeah, I'm good.
Fine.
Very good.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
and round of applause for the foundation. Fantastic figures and a brilliant charity.
Yeah, and of course you were there when it was all set up. Peter, how's lockdown been for you? We're hoping to be getting to an end soon. Has it been okay?
Nah, tough. I mean, I'm lucky. I've got a big garden. I can look out on a nice garden. But I've found it. I'm a people's person. I like getting involved with people. So it's been tough. So God only knows what it's been for people who live on council estates. I was brought up in the council estate, and high-rise flats. It must have been really difficult. So I'm lucky, but I found it tough. Yeah,
I think we hope for so many reasons that it can end soon for loads and loads of reasons. But like you say, for those, we are lucky to be able to go outside and stuff like that. But for those living in flats with kids to homeschool as well, it must be very, very tough. And we're all thinking about you if that's any of you watching this. And Kevin, for you, I mean, maybe some of the people watching this might not know that your whole family are kind of sporting superstars, or two of them in the making anyway. Just explain that and what's it been like for them?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same as Pete. I'm very lucky that we've got plenty of room there's always something to do in the garden, a bit of room to play football with the kids. And you're right, my daughter is an amateur jockey. Unfortunately, she's been furloughed, so she's been back at home now for 2.5 months. So she's itching to get back. The racing now has started, so hopefully she'll get back to work in the next few weeks down in Newmarket. Toby is at Rochdale as a scholar, so obviously he's been sent home. So we're trying to keep an 18-year-old fit. Has been very, very difficult, considering he can go out with his mates now and this and that. So it's been a challenge, but yeah, it's been tough, a bit like Peter. But I'm delighted now that the golf courses are open, the golf started, the football started. So we're gradually getting back to some kind of normality.
Well, I want to take you both back to how you joined the club, because it was a very successful era when you were both there. And Peter, 1995, you'd left Manchester City and the Sunderland job becomes available. But at the time, Manchester City there in the top division, Sunderland very near the bottom of what is now the Championship and actually struggling to avoid relegation. What attracted you to the job and how did it actually come about?
Well, one of the reasons I was attracted to the job, and you mentioned it before, was Roker Park. I played there as a young player for Bolton Wanderers, obviously against Sunderland, in an Easter, and it was at the old days, a promotion game, and there was 52,000 people there. And Sunderland won 2-1. I think Tony Towers and Pop Robson scored. And I just couldn't believe the crowd. You know, when you're a young footballer and you go to a stadium and you're thinking, wow. And it was electric. And I mean electric. So I obviously knew about Sunderland playing against them. I knew about the history. But that was the biggest thing. As soon as they had the opportunity to go and manage. And it was only for 7 games. Because like you rightly say, I think we were 4th from bottom of the old second division, which is now the Championship, with 7 difficult games. Everything was in the air, and they asked me would I take it for the 7 games, try and keep them up. And I just think it was certain football clubs are big. I class Sunderland as a massive football club. Hence, I took the job, and that's why people ask me about the most important goal scored for me while I was at Sunderland, and it was Martin Smith's left-footed against Swindon, 1-0. That virtually kept us up in the league. That gave me the opportunity to manage the club on a long-term basis. And you mentioned Kev didn't know about Roker Park. I think me watching Kev play at Roker Park got in my mind to try and sign him when he played for Watford. So that was the reason. The massive fan base and the fantastic feel for the football club I felt at Roker Park when I played.
So what was it about Kevin then? Was he playing right back for Watford at the time? What attracted you to him and make him put him up front?
No, he's one. You know, when you concentrate on your own team, I think it was one each. Well, you concentrate on your own team, and I thought, who's this little fella? He gets hold of it. He's lively, and you know when you're always, if he got it, I was nervous, and I don't think he scored in the game, but he was always a threat, and it was only something in me in the back of my mind that, you know, I'll have a look at him again. He was the threat on the day. He was the threat.
Well, that season you successfully kept us up. The next season you very successfully took us up. And I know we came back down, and that is when it came to fruition that the man who was to be known as Super Kevin Phillips joined. So, Kevin, you tell us your version of how the move all came about. But I am right in saying that Watford did put you at right back, didn't they?
No, Watford. It was at Southampton actually, Tom. When
I was it?
I was when I went there as an apprentice. I never quite made it. Wasn't big enough, strong enough. So Dave Merrington, the coach at the time, put me at right back. Anyway, did 2 years, got released, went into non-league, and it was Ian Allison actually. And Peter would have played against Ian Allison, the Arsenal, the Arsenal winger. He called me one Friday night and just said, "Look, we haven't got a striker tomorrow. Would you play?" And I said, "Yeah. You know, I've always been a striker. Scored 2 goals, and the rest was history." And I got my chance at Watford, and so I went to Watford as a striker under Glenn Roeder. And it took me a while to settle. I broke into the first team in February, scored 9 goals in 15 games. And one of those games, well, ironically, actually, my debut was against Sunderland at Vicarage Road. I don't know whether Peter will remember it. It was a cold Tuesday night. The rain, it was horrendous. I think we lost 1-0 to a Craig Russell goal. And I scored 9 goals in 15 games to go. And one of them was obviously at Roker Park. I didn't score there, but I just remember travelling as far north as I'd ever been. So it was quite daunting then. And to go to, of course, Vicarage Road is known and Watford's known as a family club. The atmosphere is good, but when I went there, it was just in a different league. You know, that Roker roar was amazing. And I actually, it inspired me to try and rise to the occasion. I wanted to impress. I wanted to do well. I wanted to shut that crowd up. And it was just an awesome feeling. So I didn't think I particularly played well that day, but obviously Peter saw something in me that he liked, and you know, it stuck in his mind. So I spent 2.5 years at Watford. The contract came to an end. I was looking for a contract. Me and the agent were, which Graham Taylor at the time wasn't happy in giving us. So as you do, you're just like, right, we'll move on. We'll try and look for somewhere else. And I was actually very close to signing for Ipswich. I was actually sitting in my agent's car in a car park at Portman Road, having agreed a contract to sign for Ipswich, but I had to wait for the 2 clubs couldn't agree a fee, so we had to wait to go to tribunal, and that was going to take, I think, 10 days to 2 weeks, and I wasn't prepared to do that. I didn't want to go back to Watford and train, so I was in limbo really. And so my agent said, "Well, listen," he says, "I'm going to give Peter Reid a call." I was like, "What do you mean? What now?" He went, "Yeah, I'm going to ring him now, see what he says." Because he'd heard that Peter liked me. So we rang, and I said, "Don't make out I'm in the car, please. I don't want to." So Peter come on the speakerphone, and my agent went, "Look, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's fallen through at Ipswich. would you be interested? And I have to be honest,
Kev,
Peter.
Kev, you don't know, Kev. Back then, I had Zoom, so I knew you were in the car. That's a joke.
always ahead of his time, Peter Reid.
I couldn't believe we had a car phone back then, let alone. So as soon as we said that I was available, Peter just said, "Get him up here now, and I'll sign him." And I was very flattered. So we said, "Okay, I'll put it to Kevin." Anyway, when the phone went down, he said, "What do you think?" And I was very nervous. It's a big move for me. My wife Julie, we were expecting our first baby at the time. I hadn't lost my dad, so it didn't feel right at the time. But when I went home and spoke to my family, they said, the best thing for you now is to get away from where you are, because the memories, you go and start a new life up north. And I went, right, I will. So got in the car the next morning, drove up, and I have to say it was the best decision I ever made.
I think I'd heard that you were already signed by Ipswich, so I was a bit gutted, because I was just trying to get me ducks in a row, what to say. So as soon as the agent, John, rung up, I thought, Christ, and I went straight to the chairman and said, listen, just try and do a deal with Watford, and the chairman thankfully did the deal.
I would have to say, it was literally, Tom, we drove up, there wasn't really any negotiations, from what I recall. It was just literally, this is what we're offering, and I was like, and it was, I have to say, hands up, it was better than what Ipswich had offered, what Watford, and I just went, I'll sign, there's no negotiation, I'll sign it, and it literally happened within hours, and that was it. I was a Sunderland player.
I think hindsight's a wonderful thing, but one of the, I remember speaking to Kevin, and I said, listen, I know this place. I said, if you come in and score goals, I said, forget about it. I said, you will be there. And he didn't go there. He went off the scale.
And his words certainly rang true, Kevin.
100%. It was. I knew I was coming to a big football club when I drove up, and I remember driving along. There's a way along to the stadium called Wessington Way, and I just remember out of the mist came the Stadium of Light, and of course they were still building it. So we at that time we were changing at Roker Park to go to the training ground, and as soon as I saw the Stadium of Light, I just thought, wow, I'm going to be playing in that next season, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Of course, playing for someone like Peter, and then the players that Niall Quinn, Lee Clark, who Peter had signed, big names in the game. I was so excited. I had nothing to lose, to be honest. Nobody knew who I was apart from the gaffer. For me, I had nothing to lose. The supporters didn't really know who I was, so I kind of had a free hit at it. But I always believed that, given the opportunity and given the chances, I would score goals. And I didn't envisage it would start that well, but it was an incredible start to my career.
I think Kev's being a bit modest there, because, like, the history of Sunderland, the Rich Carters, the Shackletons, the great names. I mean, Charlie Early, Jim Baxter, some of them. I mean, these have been great players. Pop Robson, the 73 side, and you've got to have a mental strength to play for a big club. And I know people will go, oh, where they are now, but Sunderland if Sunderland start well next year, there'll be 30,000 there. So you've got to have a mental strength to be a top player. And at Sunderland, you've got to have mental strength. Kev had it.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that insight into actually how the transfer came about. That it was like very much a case of you were confident that you could get that money from Bob Murray, and you did do so. So you got your man in Kevin Phillips. Now, what he did was amazing. There's no doubt about it. Kevin might get a bit embarrassed me saying that, but the goals he scored and getting into the England squad, absolutely brilliant. But how much did he surpass your expectations, especially given the fee, the very modest fee that you paid for him?
I think Kev will be first to acknowledge it. I think when you get a team, you try and build a team, you try and get specific parts where I quite like the big man, little man. Now, Kev was an intelligent player. He could hold it up. Quinny was an integral part at the start. Some would be Alan Johnson. We had Mickey Gray. We had back then. We had attacking fullbacks in Mickey Gray and Chris Macon. So it was the whole balance of the side. But the most difficult part of football, I think, is sticking the ball in the back of the net. Now, even on the training ground when he first arrived, he loved sticking in the net, even in the small side of games when you see somebody and you go, wow. So all the components were there, but the most difficult part is sticking in the back of the net. And Kev did that, allied of some... I mean, I was at my happiest as a manager when I had Kev, Niall, Michael Bridges and Danny Dickey. He had the four of them. And it was hard because, you know, you can only play two of them. But when you've got that allied with you know, good wide men, people who want to drive forward, doesn't half help. So that was what we tried to get as a club. And we did it. We did it really well.
And with Kevin, a legendary strike force, Niall Quinn and Kevin Phillips, how long did it take to click?
Is that yours or mine, Kev?
That's for Kevin, sorry.
Pretty much straight away, Tom, if I'm being honest. It was, you know, people ask the question now whenever we talk about, you know, me and Niall, they always say, you must have worked on it for hours on the training ground. Well, you know, Peter will tell you, we didn't particularly work on anything really. All the gaffer ever used to say to me and Niall was, just don't be ever any further than 10 yards away from Niall. However, that's you come round to the front of him if he's dropping it off or you're running in behind. Just stay around him. And that was really the only information. Of course, there was the tactical work with other players and the shape that we wanted to play. But we were pretty much standard 4-4-2. Just being in and around Niall. If it's coming from the fullback, either running behind or come around the front. And that was what it was, you know. There wasn't an awful lot of coaching. It was more about, you know, whenever I speak about Peter, it's more about the man management side, which was second to none. You know, probably the best that I've experienced in my career.
I think with coaching, Kev, I mean, you can put sessions on where you can get it wide, drop it into midfield, hit a diagonal. But, you know, once the whistle goes, it's all up to the players, you know. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be a player, but you can put sessions on. But, you know, when you got the whistle blows and you go over that white line, it's all about players reading things. And you can't coach that. You can coach little passing drills where it's fair, good touch and go. But you know when you're in the heat of the game and you've got to shape. I mean, basically, all I used to say, the basic things about football for me is when you haven't got the ball, work hard to get it back, have a shape about you. And then when you've got it, get it down and pass it. And by the way, if you get a chance to get it in the box, if I've got Quinn and Phillips in there, you get it in there because them two want it in there. And that was a big deal. So Niall and Kev knew if it was half a yard from Nicky Summerby, if it was John O on the other side, it was coming in.
I think we were lucky as well, Peter, with what you're saying there. We could play football. You know, we could play some teams off the park. But I think we had the ability as well to go from back to front pretty quick. You know, if the team was pressing us, and the fullback Mickey or Chrissy Makin got it, he could drop one into. He had the ability, him and Mickey, to drop one into Niall. And Niall was one of the best in the league at the time of holding. No one could get the ball off him, and so we had the ability to mix it up. But we could play as well. And what Peter said was, I knew as a striker that if Nicky Summerby got it on the right hand side, Alan Johnson was tucking in a little reverse pass to Mickey. I knew the ball was coming in the box. I see it too often now, and I'm sure Peter does. When the ball goes wide, strikers are not in the box, and it frustrates me so much because I think, get yourself in there, you're a goal scorer. So we had the ability to mix it up.
And you talked there about Peter's man management, Kevin, and so many Sunderland players who've played under Peter say the same thing. I mean, I think you said second to none there, his man management. What was it about Peter that separated him from other managers that you may have had?
I just think honesty. I think honesty is one of the biggest things. I've played under managers when you know they're not telling you the truth. But Peter was very, very honest. He would tell you if you was doing things right, and he would tell you if you're doing things wrong. There was no in between. It was black and white. So, but also for me, because he's such a legend in the game, he's played it, he's seen it, he's done it. You had that huge respect for him. We all knew what he was talking about. But I think also, you know, having Bobby Saxon alongside him, the combination was incredible. You know, it was just incredible. So you knew if you had an issue, you could go and talk to Peter because he's been there, seen it and done it. The big thing for me was, and I always remember when I went there, it was, if you play for me, if you do things right, I'll look after you. And that was, you might get an extra day off. I might let you go and have a beer. But I'll tell you what, if you don't turn up and work hard for me, then you're not getting it. So we knew, you know, we knew what was coming. And for me, it should be the same as today. There's no reason why you shouldn't work hard for anyone. And you know, I think the atmosphere and the team spirit that the gaffer created and we created as a squad was the reason why we got promoted. We nearly got promoted in the first season. We got promoted second season, and we finished 7th twice in the Premier League because of the team spirit and the management.
Yeah, I think it goes down to respect as well. I mean, I've always had a big respect for players. I was one. I had respect for me players. They had respect for me. The only thing that I've listened to Kevin once, a League Cup tie against Chester, and I've said, I'm leaving you out. And he went, no, I want to play. I want to score goals. I said, no. He went, I want to play. I said, right, play. And I think he only done his metatarsal in the game. Yeah. And I was going to bring him off. Oh, kill me. It absolutely killed me. So I never listened to him again till he finished and he offered to buy me a drink and I said, yeah, I'll listen to you now.
Hey, but we still got promoted that season.
We did. Well, Kev, I tell you what, a lot of people forget I lost you for a couple of months. And by the way,
yeah,
we couldn't, you know, them metatarsals were really, it wasn't until David Beckham got them that, but I understood them when you got it. And I lost Niall as well. Big Dickie Owen and Bridgie come in and did a great job. And that's what I meant before by sharing the load and a great team spirit. Because I remember yourself when you're out, you were frustrated, but you were absolutely delighted what the lads were doing on the pitch in your absence. And that is a great, unique atmosphere.
So Peter, you knew at the time that the team spirit was obviously so good, and if you look back at maybe other dressing rooms that you've had, like what was the difference? It can't just be good players. I mean, Kevin just said some very nice words again about you, which as a person as well as a manager, which must feel great to hear that. But what was it that made this team spirit so good? Because it can't just be from winning.
No, I think it builds. It builds. You have the experience. You have the young lads. I mean, there was lads who didn't get a mention. Thirlwell, Lumsden, who were great wisecrackers in the dressing room. I mean, the masseurs, the kit man, John Cook. It was a melting pot. It's not all about players, staff, management. It's the whole concept of a football club, and that's what we got. We got a football club. It wasn't a team. It wasn't a group. It wasn't a squad. It was a football club from the top there. Well, there was no top. There was no there. It was just a football club, and that is the only way I can explain it. You know, and like John Cook was a brilliant. Never made a mistake. Mickey Holland, the masseur, who was a mate of Lee Clark's, who I got in, and he come with dodgy certificates. I knew they were dodgy, but I thought, he's all right, him. You know, he's a character. So I said to Clarky, yeah, I'll have him in. Even though he was a black and white, I said, you'll have to hide that badge while you're working, by the way. But that was it. That was the way we did it. And you ask Kevin, and I like that. I like that. And in certain terms, you know, you're going about discipline and you're going about fines. I said to the players, get on with it. Get on with it. You sort all that out, because I don't want to be like a dictator. It's up to you. And I think it worked. It did work.
I think what we did was we policed the dressing room. There was times when, you know, we didn't need to go to the manager and worry him with that. We all knew he has enough on his plate, him and Bobby. So we had the experience of the Baldies, the Quinnies, the Andy Melvilles, the Richard Ords, experienced players. You know, we sorted out amongst ourselves. We had to lock the door, lock the dressing room, and iron it out ourselves. We did it, and that's the sign of a good dressing room. Not always going to the manager or going to the assistant manager and keep causing them problems. And for me, that was one of the biggest things that went in our favour.
Now and by the way, spot on. If you've got a strong dressing room, you got a chance. And like I was in a strong dressing room as a player at Bolton Wanderers as a lad, and certainly at Everton. And it does make the manager's job much more simpler, without a doubt. And a strong dressing room, you can see it. You can see it. And to be fair, when we got beat in the playoff final on penalties, I mean, I was lower than anyone. And I've got to say, the players dragged me up that pre-season. Without a doubt, they come in. And when we started, I always remember, because I was wondering what kind of reaction I'd get, you know, because I was flat. They were magnificent. Magnificent.
Can you remember that, Kevin, coming back into training? How were you feeling? It sounds like you weren't flat. Were you ultra confident that you were going to storm the league? Because you did.
So we were excited, and Peter's right. You know, we were low in the dressing room afterwards. There wasn't much said for at least 5-10 minutes, and I just remember Big Niall standing up, and he just said, "Look, what are we going to do? Are we going to sit here and mope, ruin our summer? We're going to cry about it?" He said, "Or we're going to enjoy this evening. Yes, we've lost, but let's enjoy it as we have done all season after games. Put it to bed. When we come back for pre-season, we don't even mention it. We go again, because we're a good enough squad in here with maybe 1 or 2, 3 more additions to the squad. We will win the league next season." And that was it, Tom. You know, as soon as we reported back for pre-season, the laughs, the jokes, it wasn't mentioned, and it became an unforgettable season, of course, because we went on to romp the league, and you know, and that just shows you the strength of the dressing room and the togetherness, because we didn't let it affect us. So that was credit to everyone that was involved.
And Peter, you kept a lot of the squad together, and of course we know what happened next. We came 7th in the Premier League, 2 seasons in a row. Did you realise at that time just how big an achievement that was? Because we don't even need hindsight now to know that was quite staggering for Sunderland.
It was always going to be tough when you come up. I mean, I think I had a problem with Alan Johnson, who I thought was going to sign, and Michael Bridges, who I thought was going to sign, and respectively, I fell out with them, and they moved on to Rangers and Leeds, respectively. But you've got to get over it. And I thought we got beat, didn't we, first game? 4-1, and I remember coming back from Stamford Bridge, Chelsea, and Zola got the old, Poirier got the old overhead scissors kick off of ball from Zola, and I thought, it's going to be a long season, this. And the biggest game then was Watford, and I think Kev got the winner 1-0. Was that
no,
midweek?
I got 2 that night, Peter. A penalty and for the curler, 20.
Yeah, was that after the Chelsea game?
Yeah, straight after the Chelsea game.
Yeah, well, that was a big game. That was a big game, and he's come up with the goods again. Now from there, I tell you what, I mean, Steve Bowl was a good sign, and he only lasted 6 months, but what a good player he was. He steadied us up at the back. But from there, the confidence in the players. They sort of grew up with the defeats at Stamford Bridge. They grew up then. They knew it was going to be hard. You know what I mean? Hey, this is another level. And I think it was a lesson for us all. But that result, I think Graham Taylor was in charge at Watford at the time. That result against Watford was a big one, and I could see after that game, the dressing room with confidence. I felt the confidence after that result, and the lads were brilliant after that, to be fair to them.
Although I'm going to talk more about those 2 seventh place seasons, I guess this is probably the right time to ask you, Peter, what your biggest challenge was. And the reason I'm asking it now is because a lot of people might think it was the situation which forced you to sell Lee Clark.
Yeah, listen, you're always, in an ideal world, yeah, I remember having to sell Don Hutchison later on because he'd had a great year playing narrow on the right. He got me 10 goals. Sometimes, as a manager, when there is a player power, you know, and you've got to look after players. But if someone comes in for a player, I mean, Manchester United couldn't hold on to Beckham, they couldn't hold on to Ronaldo, and that's at that level. So certain things you've got to manage, and certain things that out of your hand in football teams, you've still got to manage. And Lee Clark was an outstanding footballer for us. We all know, and Clark, he's a big pal of mine. In fact, I've texted him today. He's black and white. Some things you can't do as a Sunderland player, and he had to go. So I've got to get a replacement then. It's something that Kev's on the coaching side, once again, the management side. It's something that you have to deal with, because you plan things and there's always a spanner to go in and works. There's always something that's going to happen to you, and you've always got to try and have a little plan. I didn't have a plan for that at the time, but I had to deal with it, dealt with it, and then things happen. Them things happen. I mean, some things happen to as a manager that you think, wow, I'm lucky there. Young Michael Bridges, I seen the practice match when he was 17. I think, wow, what a player. Boom, I'm in. So there's swings and roundabouts. You just got to deal with them. You know, the most important thing is the football club and the team as a whole. But sometimes it gets tough.
And Kevin, how does the dressing room deal with it? Because Lee Clark was a keeper. I don't just mean Lee Clark, but Alan Johnson, who was supplying some ammunition for you, and a few other key players. I mean, Michael Bridges was mentioned there as well, who'd left, and you had this strong dressing room, and key components to that leave. How do you deal with it as a player?
Well, I think, you know, you can't get involved in it. You know, Peter's just explained the reasons why. As players, you know, you turn up, you do your job. Of course, naturally, any dressing room, when you lose influential players, quality players, you know, you're just hoping. We all know it happens, but we're just hoping that they can be replaced. Now, that's very difficult, but you have to trust your manager, your management, your chairman, whoever it may be. You have to trust them. But as players, you can't let that affect you. And we certainly, again, it goes back to the dressing room that we had, the camaraderie, the team spirit. We never let it affect us. You know, it's one of those. It's like the talk after the playoff final. You know, it's done. It's nothing we can do about it. We trust the management that they'll replace that person with someone just as good, if not better. But we can only affect it on the pitch or on the training ground. And I think that's the only way you can deal with it. You know, if you mope around saying, "Oh, we've lost another player," then it's going to affect your performance, which isn't, you know, good for anyone. So, unfortunately, it happened with Clark, and I agree with Peter when I saw, you know, what happened. Unfortunately, you know, now knowing what I know about the North East, there's no coming back from that, and I accept having, you know, had a taste of coaching and being in management. It's the player has to go. It's as simple as that for the benefit of the football club. The football club's more important. But as players, you have to trust your management.
Peter, you, at that time, like I said, we were doing really, really well. But you actually were never really given significant funds to... It's not like you bought your way to 7th place and almost a place in Europe in the Premier League. You did do it on a budget. You found players like Kevin Phillips. I think about like Gavin McCann as well, Thomas Sorensen, these players who were excellent for Sunderland, but didn't cost the earth. Was that just your own? Did you have a good scouting department, or did you just have a great eye for a player?
No. Hey, listen, a manager doesn't do it all himself. I mean, Chrissy Macon, Johnson, all these would, come in and did great jobs. Darren Williams, 40 grand from York. I had him man for man. Zola, Gianfranco Zola, is one of the best players I've ever seen. And Darren said to me, "What if I don't get a kick?" I said, "That'll do me, son, as long as he doesn't." But listen, he was Jody Craddock. What a good player he was. Hey, listen, I made a few mistakes. Don't get me wrong. You're never going to get all of them right, but if you get more right than wrong, and like when you look at Quinny and some really good signings, and listen, there were some bad ones. Las Lawns, everyone goes on about bad signings, and there were a few, but you've got to get the ones right. Milton Nunes is always thrown at me because he was a little chap, but you're always going to get some wrong, but if you get the majority right, you've got a chance. Don Hutchison was a good buy. Here's another one who was a good buy, and I was dead unlucky with him, Stefan Schwartz. Stefan played on that left-hand side when I lost Alan Johnson, and people forget, he was brilliant, I had Mickey Gray on the outside, a little bit different, but he did a great job, and then he did his Achilles playing for Sweden. What a good, Kevin will tell you, what a good player. Julio Walker, good player, so you get a lot right, you get a few wrong, and that you want to get them all right, but no manager does that. But it's not. It is a recruitment. You have people watching you. I had the late great Andy King, who was a scout, experienced Tony Booth, Mike Walsh. Had a good scouting system. A lad called Bob Shaw. So there was a lot. And Sacco had a good eye for the player, a real good eye for the player. So it was a whole. It's not just one man. It's the whole club.
You talk about Darren Williams man marking. He was man marking Janino one day. Never mind not getting a kick. He scored the winner at the Riverside.
The header. He was particularly pleased because he was from that neck of the woods, wasn't he?
Almost kept us up.
I've got to say, I had a good night out in Yarm that night. Mind you, I've got to say, I never had a bad night out in Yarm.
That's what I like to hear. Maybe when this is all over, you can get out in Yarm again soon. Anyway, and during these good times, Kevin, there were successful games against Newcastle. All right, you realised once you got up here that the passion of the North East when it comes to football. What was it like playing against Newcastle when you finally realised that and you were successful in those games?
Oh, they were incredible, Tom. Being naive as I was coming up north, never knew that Sunderland was by the coast. Never knew that Sunderland-Newcastle was a derby. I found it strange when I first went there and we were in the Championship. People are talking about, I can't wait to play Newcastle, wait to play the Mags. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, they're our nearest rivals, they're our deadliest rivals, we can't stand them, etc., etc. And I'm like, well, they're not even in our league, so why are you even talking about it? So that just shows they're talking about playing them when we're not even in the same league. So I quickly realised, of course, the rivalry and obviously living in the area as well. And as I started to make a name for myself, the sticks started coming when I was out and about. I remember getting chased out of Newcastle once, getting chased out of a restaurant. Didn't even get to finish my food. I had to leave quickly. So you kind of realise quickly that, the rivalry is intense. So, for me, when we got promoted, the first fixture I looked for was our home, who we playing at home, who we playing Boxing Day, and when we playing the Mags first game. And it came pretty quick in the season away at St James's. And I couldn't wait. I would have to say, although I've worked out, up to that point, I'd scored, I think, nearly 60 goals going into that game, but I still didn't feel that I was taken to the Sunderland faithful, in their heart just yet until you score the winning goal in a North East derby, and then you become that different status. So that night at St James's Park was incredible, absolutely amazing. There's 2 or 3 memories from the night, and Peter probably have the same. The whistling before the game, before kickoff, was just deafening. I've never heard anything like that in my life. You know, there were 60,000 people whistling. You couldn't hear yourself think, and the rain, it was just amazing. And of course, the news that Shearer had been dropped, Duncan Ferguson's on the bench, Ruud Gullit could get the sack if we beat them. Everything was stacked up in our favour on that night, and it was just an incredible night. And of course, to get the winner on that night, it was in those conditions. I'll remember that forever. And I think when I scored, we pan round to the bench with the gaffer. He's soaking wet, and they're jumping about on the touchline. It was just a remarkable evening. And when that final whistle went, it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. It was only at that point I thought, I have actually become a bit of a Sunderland hero now, and I kind of gradually realised as the weeks went on that I had become a Sunderland hero, because everywhere you went was just quite amazing.
And although we did it the next season as well, didn't we, with Hutchison and Quinn? But Peter, that night that Kevin's talking about in the rain, I'm going to take you back to one moment that I'm sure you'll have been asked about it many a times. It's pouring down with rain. We're winning 2-1, and your captain, your leader, slides in for a tackle, as he likes to do, Kevin Ball, and he's facing his own goal from about the halfway line, and the ball loops over the goalkeeper, and thankfully hits the crossbar and goes out for a corner. What is going through your mind, and what did you say to him afterwards?
Well, one of the reasons I put Kevin in the middle of the park, because he played at the back when I first got there, was because he gave too many fouls away. And I just remember the ball bouncing, and he's facing towards our goal, and I'm going, win the tackle. And he goes through and wins this tackle, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking, it's flipping going in here. And honest to God, when I hit the bar, I've never been to, it'd have been one of them on Question of Sport, what happened next, wouldn't it? It was just the art in your mouth stuff. But you've got to say, that was Kevin Ball, his desire to win a tackle. And by the way, it's in the middle of the park. It's in our half, but it's in the middle of the park. So you're thinking, win the tackle. And he goes in that hard and ferocious. He's not won. He's not only won the tackle, it's nearly gone in at the back of our net. That was Kevin, but that was, sometimes as a manager like Mickey Gray, I put him back to left back. Kevin, I felt he wanted to get the ball too early, put him in the middle of the park. But when you talk about a skipper and a desire and another great character in the dressing room, his will to win was tremendous. It just, the will to win on that ball was a little bit too heavy on the... Well, it wasn't, because it hit the bar, so we got away with it.
It's true. I was right behind that, actually, because it happened, and I was right in line with it, and I just thought, it was one of those Hollywood, where everything just went slow motion. Yeah. And I was just thinking, because I think we were 2-1 at the time, and I'm thinking straight, selfish as a typical striker. I've got the chance to win the game here. Please don't go in. Please don't go in. It at the bar, and I think even Tommy Sorensen was like, there's nothing he could have done. It was just a surreal moment, and I think it was destined to be our night that night with the news of Shearer and Gullit, the problems. Yeah. It was a remarkable night, remarkable.
The only real negative that I've got to talk to you about here is, the seventh twice in a row, that the next season we just survived on the last day, didn't we, against Derby, and Ipswich went down. But the season after, unfortunately, we did go down and I know, Peter, at the start of that season, that was the end of your reign. When you look back, and you will have, thought about it a lot, I'm sure, is there anything that you think was specifically that went wrong for us to get that bad start?
I think Quinny was just becoming towards the end, and I was always trying to get someone else with Kev, and the pressure come on. And Kev will know this more than me, but when we finished fourth from bottom, I think it's fair to say, Kev, you missed about 5 or 6 pens, didn't you?
Yeah, I missed 3 or 4 on the bounce.
Yeah, and it might them. I calculated them points would have took us to about 14th. Now that's not good. What?
It's my fault.
No. What I'm saying is, in football, with confidence is a massive thing, and like, you know, them goals get you results. It could change that way. It could change for the better or for the worse. I mean, my first game in charge against Sheffield United, I brought Craig Russell on. He scores to win us the game 1-0. The confidence we got from that, kept us up. What I'm saying is, you know, when you're getting beaten, and we didn't. I think we only scored 27 goals that season when we finished 4th from bottom. So that's how crucial it was, because the confidence in the players, and that's allied to the crowd, where pressure comes on, and that's when it becomes difficult. So a specific moment, no. You're asking me, I've looked back. I try to analyse things. Was there a specific moment? No, I go on about certain point levels. 4th from bottom wasn't good enough after the 7th and 7th. And obviously, after, I think it was 9 games into the season, the axe was on my head. I'd gone. But I look back and I'm thinking, now, if Kevin had scored them goals, no, hey, listen, that's a fact of life. Where would it gone? You never know. But they're facts.
Kevin, how sad was it, obviously, at the first of all, to see Peter go after all the great memories, but also at the end of that season to suffer the relegation?
It was devastating. I remember, you know, of course we didn't start well, and then rumours start as they do. You know, the media put pressure on, etc., etc. And I remember, you know, Peter Reid ringing me at home and saying that, you know, he'd been relieved of his duty, he'd been sacked, and I was devastated because, you know, we'd had great times. Yeah, we were going through a difficult spell. So yeah, it naturally very, very disappointed. And then, you know, you don't quickly get over it, but you accept it as you do in football. Then your attention starts to turn to, well, who they're going to bring in. You know, who are they going to replace Peter with? You know, if they don't get it right, we're going to be in trouble. And simply, they didn't get it right to start off with, in my opinion. So, you know, it didn't help the situation. I think when Mick come in towards the end, we were doomed. I think, you know, the rot had set in, we couldn't get out of it. And unfortunately for Big Mick, you know, we got relegated. So it was very, very disappointing, you know, to have the highs that we did. Certainly my first 4 seasons there, to have the lows that we did, it was hard to accept. And, you know, it was hard to get over. You know, for me to leave the football club at the end of that season as well was bitterly disappointing. But, you know, it was what it was, and we enjoyed the good times. But we all know in football, there's always bad times around the corner, and unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Well, I think if you have bad times, the good times are better. I mean, I had 7.5 years of Sunderland. It was great. It was great. And when I got there, they were 4th from bottom of the old First Division. When I left, we were 4th from bottom of the Premiership. 9 games, we had 8 points, got 17 points that season. But it was a great time. It was, and by the way, we built a new stadium, a new training ground. So for me, it was a success.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody would ever doubt that. We're going to go on to straight back to a positive. I'm desperate to do that, but also just got to mention to the viewers now, Just Giving link on this YouTube channel here to make a donation. Please do that. I should have mentioned it far more than I have. So I'm going to, as many as I can in between now and the end, to just click that link and give what you can, please, to the Foundation of Light during this Legends Talking. Right, positive.
It's his fault. It's that Kevin Phillips. He never stops speaking. Got to shut him up. Never stops talking.
Peter, tell me how proud you were of Kevin as his club manager when he got called up to the England squad.
Hey, listen, it's the biggest accolade any player can have. I think it was thoroughly well deserved. I think he should have got a few more caps, but when you're looking at some of the quality that was about at the time, there was some quality. But when you get a player who gets a cap for his country, and I'm an Englishman, so especially Englishman, him and Mickey Gray. To say I was made up. Gavin McCann got a cap as well. That's the highest. When you put the 3 lines on and you walk out and you play for your country, don't get any better. I mean, and your family, your supporters, your football club. It's just a magnificent honour. Kevin,
were you aware of how proud the whole city of Sunderland were that you were called up, and like Peter says, Mickey and Gavin as well, but you yourself, did you know how proud everyone was of you?
Oh, of course, naturally. I think, growing up as a kid, and Peter would have been the same, I was desperate to be a professional footballer. And then, I remember watching, Peter in the World Cup, and I was only a young lad. I was desperate to play for my country. So, yeah, naturally, like Peter says, when you put them 3 lines on, there's no prouder moment in my career. One, being a professional footballer, making your debut, but for walking out for your country, me and Mickey getting called up for that. I think, the biggest thing as well, let's not forget, we got called up when we were in the Championship. And there's not many players that have done it. I think we were the first 2 to have ever done it. So, we travelled out to Hungary, and I was lucky enough to start the game. Mickey was on the bench, and it was just surreal. It was just amazing. I remember Peter ringing me. I was doing an interview for Diodora down on the beach at the seafront. And I remember when I was leaving, the gaffer went, "Keep your phone on." He says, "I think you might be getting some good news today." So there was rumours I might get a call up. And when the phone rang and I seen it was Peter, I was just like, well, I knew straight away I was called up for England. And I just couldn't believe it. It was just an amazing moment. And then you go back, you see your family, and, the phone doesn't stop. It's just, an amazing feeling. Whether I should have got more caps is another debate, but I've got 8 of them sitting on the back of my wall behind me in the photos, and I feel privileged to have got 8 caps, because what Peter said is I was challenging, I was competing with some of the best strikers that England have ever had. I think if I was playing now at my pump, I'd probably get into double figures quite comfortably, but I feel honoured to have got 8 caps, so there's absolutely no regret from my point of view, because there's thousands of footballers out there that have never played for their country, and I've been lucky enough, and Peter's been lucky enough to do it.
And all credit to Kevin Keegan as well. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. He was on the phone to me, and he asked me about it. He said, "Kev, you've got to have a look at him." I said, the real good footballers, they can handle the football, the temperament's good, and to be fair, he was bold enough to do it.
Yeah, I've only got a couple of questions left for you both, but just remember to click that Just Giving link on the YouTube channel. Right, Peter, okay, question for you. And I'm going to ask the same one to you, Kevin, in a minute, so you can get your answer ready. Peter, have you ever been close to coming back to the club in any capacity? Because for years, every time there was a change of manager, you were the shortest odds with the bookies, and you've been rumoured to come back under Sam Allardyce, among others. Were you, and Niall Quinn as well, actually? Were you ever close to coming back?
Well, first of all, I'm too old to play, so that equation's out the window. And no, there was loads of rumours. Hey, listen, Sunderland always be close to my heart, but I was never close to coming back. The closest I've come to getting back there is Romano's. Trying to get me out of Romano's is hard work, by the way. And I've just seen him having a glass of lager there. He's killed me. And don't forget, get onto that Just Giving page.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. Keep plugging it for me, Kevin. You've got to do it now as well. But it's common knowledge that Niall Quinn wanted you back when in his brief spell as manager. How close was it, if at all?
The hardest thing was getting Peter out of Romano's, not getting him in. Yeah, listen, I think it was quite common knowledge. I was very close to coming back to Sunderland. If I really wanted to, I could have. When I was playing for Villa under Martin O'Neill, he made it clear that I wasn't his player, his type of player. I still had a year left at Villa, so I remember sitting in the car park at Villa's training ground, and Quinny rung me and he just said, look, he said, how would you feel about coming back to the club? And the natural reaction, as it would be, was yes, straight away, without even thinking about it. I went, yeah, I'd love to. He said, right, I'll put the wheels in motion. So by the time I drove from the training ground back to my home, 20, 25 minutes, I actually started thinking about the effect of me going back, whether it would work, whether it would not. At the time I got home, I made a decision. I don't think it would be the right thing to go back. I'd leave it as it was, 6 grade. Of course, it didn't end great, but the 5 years I had was incredible. And I don't think I would have ever recreated what I did in the time I was there. And I wouldn't want to be remembered for being a failure going back. So I had the task, unfortunately, of ringing Quinny and telling him that I won't be coming. And it didn't go down too well with a big man, but it was. In hindsight, for me, it was the best decision, because I think I'd rather have the fans remember me for what I did. So, yeah, I was very, very close to go.
We all certainly do remember you for those good times. All right. Unfortunately, it's not such good times at the moment. We are confirmed for being in League One for a third season. Hopefully the good times are just around the corner, just like it was when Peter joined all those years ago. Kevin, how much does it hurt you to see us where we are?
Yeah, it hurts me quite a lot, Tom, to be honest. And I've been back particularly this season. I've been back 2 or 3 times. Last season I went back 4 or 5 times. I try and get back as much as I can, and I've watched it very closely. Of course, I follow it very closely. Still got friends up there. It's it's hard for us to really say, because we've experienced such good times up there. Of course, the relegation, but to see the club in decline the way it has done, I feel for the supporters, because we know how passionate they are. I really enjoyed watching the 2 Netflix series, and that just gives you an insight of how passionate the North East fans are. Not just Sunderland, but Newcastle and Middlesbrough. So, getting out of that League One is going to be difficult, but let's hope next season they have a right go and get out. I really wish they do.
Peter, you got any advice for management team now?
Hey, listen, it's tough times, but I want to go on the positive side in terms of, I'm not on about the owners, I'm not on about what's happening, I'm just on about the supporters. They are Premier League supporters, without a doubt. It's your football club, you've got to stick with them. And one of the reasons why Sunderland will come back again is because of the supporters. So as tough as it is, and I mean for everyone out there, and it's easy for me to sit there now and say it, but it is tough, but it's your football club. Stick with it, and you've got more chance of getting out of this league and getting back to where Sunderland Football Club belongs.
We will stick with it, I can assure you of that, Peter. Right, this has been the Foundation of Light Legends talking. Please donate what you can. You can see the link there as you're watching this. But you 2 legends, Peter Reid, thank you very much indeed for your time.
My pleasure. I'm Kev. We'll have a glass soon, my friend.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks for keep mentioning the link.
Thanks, Peter. Kevin, great to see you again, and hopefully we'll get to a game again next season.
Yeah, cheers, Tom. Appreciate it. Good to see you both.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.